Olympus, so they know that the guys can play good or bad, but never disappointed for the effort. And today was the day, really, really day that we felt connected, them with us with them, and we need it. And now it's coming the best part of the season. So it's one more week. The February is gone. Start to March. We're going to start the Champions League again and NFL Cups, And we know that every single game will be quite similar like today. So we have to prepare and do it.
OK, let's start with that man you can see there, Nico O'Reilly, who is fast becoming, you would have thought, one of the first names on the City team sheet, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, because of his versatility, his energy. Just 20 years of age, what he's doing is just remarkable. And I love watching him play, not only that, because of his football intelligence. When someone's played left-back for the season, and now he's almost playing in that number 10 role, but you see here, he's the furthest man forward. And when you're in these positions here, and Mamouche was excellent today as well, you've got to make these driving runs here, because these are the rewards that you get. Not only that, his football intelligence. We talk about pocket of space. This is absolutely brilliant. As a defender there, I don't know whether to go, to step, and then you've got Mamouche pushing you one way and Haaland. And Wayne, you've been in that position so many times. What's it like as a forward?
I think for someone so young as he is, only 20 years of age, to play that position, and he hasn't done it irregular this season, to stand still is sometimes the hardest thing to do in football. And he's patient, he's waiting, he's stalking. He sees Erling Haaland make a great run, and then now he gets in the box, he gets to the back post, targets Kieran Trippier, and it's a fantastic ball and a great header. And
it carried on. Again, I thought Haaland was outstanding, and Wayne's going to have a little look at, but it was his willingness to run. And it's not only that, it's the timing of the runs as well. I mentioned Mamouche with his running in behind, and he could have had a hat-trick in the first half. A good little ball across, and he just can't get the right connection. And to see someone coming through the academy, getting this opportunity and taking it, he's an England international now who can play midfield and left back, so that versatility is going to be good for the country as well. This time he's playing Ireland, and I just thought his all-round game today was excellent. Foden normally plays in these positions. Can you receive the ball on the half turn? Yes. And then can you make that forward run to open up space for other players to get on the ball? And I just thought it was a perfect performance for a player who's so young, who's having to adapt from left-back and now playing in the number 10.
Do you both give credit to the academy there and how they brought him through? That he has, I mean, you obviously give credit to the player himself, but that versatility, how he's been schooled.
Yeah, I think you give it to the academy, but also to Pep as well, because I think Pep's obviously seen something in him. I think he played midfield in the academy. Yeah. He's moved him to left-back now. He's put him into a number 10 position. So Pep's seen him every day in training, and he's realised that he can actually play all over the pitch. But the academy have obviously got him to that level.
I mean, you played as a 10. Could you have played left-back?
Probably.
Let me try this. You played full-back. Could you have played 10?
Definitely not.
Erling Haaland today looked like a complete centre-forward, didn't he?
I thought he was excellent. I thought he was all over the pitch. He had a great battle with Dan Burn. He didn't get his goal, but we spoke about this a few weeks ago. He's adapting his game slightly, and he's becoming more of a all-round centre-forward rather than just a goal scorer. And you see here with Dan Burn, the start of the battle, really, Dan Burn gets an early yellow card. But again, he had this little pocket of space. It's a fantastic run with his weak foot. Great cross into the penalty area, and obviously O'Reilly gets a great header. But Newcastle were brave as well, leaving Dan Burn 1v1 against Erling Haaland. But again, he shows his strength. Great centre-forward play. Holds Dan Burn off, brings the ball down, and nice little layoff, gets City on the attack again. Now we see him here, coming into the number 10 position, picking the ball up, good feet work, driving at players, and then unlucky with his weak foot. And then here, this is a clever little run. You see him on the back of the defender. He just gets himself back on side, makes a great run, and now this is where you don't want to see Erling Haaland if you're a defender. He gets the ball, he's driving at you. Yeah, Newcastle do well, get defenders back, but he comes out of there, lays the ball off, and he's becoming more of a creator rather than just that player who scores goals. And then defensively, when you need him, back in his own box, strong, powerful, great header out to the penalty area. Here, he actually stayed in the back line for a long time at times. But here, again, cover, not letting the Newcastle players get through. Really unlucky. This is where you want to see him. On the shoulder, it's a good save. Unlucky not to get his goal, which is all-round performance deserved. And then last minute, kick of the game. Ball comes into the penalty area. He's there, great header out. But his performance, I thought, was outstanding today. And you see his heat map.
That's a real contrast to what we've seen at times during this City career.
Normally with Erling Haaland, you see his heat map and it'd be central, just around the penalty area. But here you see he's everywhere and he's favoured that right-hand side. So I think he's finding new things in his game, which I think that's a scary thought.
Well, it's also a scary thought because he has so many other people that can then play off him.
Yeah, exactly that. I think he became a little bit predictable, Haaland. So when I was watching his game as a defender, I'm thinking, I know where he wants to run. When the ball's on one side, he's always going to go to the back post. But what Wayne showed there, he's got variety in his game now, and that's difficult because a man who can score that many goals and now introducing the other side of his game, he's going to be unstoppable.
You've both been in title races. So what do you read into the reactions at the end tonight?
I think you just know you're in with a fight now. There's always defining moments in the season. And I think Man City's was against Liverpool away when they come back after that Szoboszlai free kick. And then it just gives you that little bit of impetus, that momentum to say, we're in this. And now, obviously, the North London derby is tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen there. But as long as, I always said, as long as Man City can stay within 2 or 3 points in that game in April, at home at the Etihad, then they're in with a chance. And that's all you can expect at this part of the season.
That's mind games as well from Pep, without actually saying anything. That's Pep showing Arsenal they're up for this fight and they're ready to take this fight on with Arsenal, and Arsenal will be sitting there because that was a tough game today against Newcastle, but it's a fantastic win.
The other thing as well is since the turn of the year, when there've been a full round of Premier League fixtures, if Arsenal have had to go after Manchester City, they haven't won yet. So it I know they played midweek, but that was a standalone game for Arsenal. So that cranks it up even more, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. And obviously, having the derby game against Tottenham, it's never an easy game. Tottenham with a new manager in. So, yeah, they're going to be looking at thinking, City are coming. They know it's in City's hands. And so Arsenal, the pressure's back on Arsenal tomorrow at North London derby. So, yeah, let's see what they've got.
Lacked cutting edge made some defensive mistakes. Is that how you sum it up?
That's been the frustrating thing. I think when you consider what Newcastle have been through, the 3 away games before this evening, the travel they had to make on Wednesday evening to get back and then come back into this game. I thought they played really well, but it was the small margins that made the difference. And the small margins were that they didn't perhaps put as much pressure on them in the second half, and particularly with the 2 goals they conceded defensively. That's what's been the difference tonight, and that's how they've been punished.
I also think they're missing a number 9 at the moment. I know Anthony Gordon can play a number 9, and he scored goals midweek. I understand that. But Voltemade was brought in as a number 9. He's not playing as a number 9, and that's an issue. This is injured constantly as a number 9, and that's an issue, and he brings a Sula on. So they had lots of possession, but the fact that they didn't have cutting edges, Eddie Howe mentioned, is because Voltemade and Visser are not working as a number 9. So it's something they're going to have to address. Yes, they'll score goals. They've got pace. Gordon, Barnes, Alanga's slightly disappointing, but is starting to find his feet. They will score goals. But in games like this, when you're playing against the very best, you need a number 9.
You're in agreement?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think clearly Voltemade is an issue for Newcastle because of the money they spent on him, near enough 70 million. And them deciding then to play Gordon as a centre forward tells you he hasn't quite been what they thought he could be in that position. So they're trying to work out what's best for him. Is he a 10? Probably not. To try and then play him in more of a midfield role. Well, you see that he can't press because he hasn't got the legs, he hasn't got the energy to do what Eddie Howe's teams have done, which has made Newcastle successful over the years. You saw that with that second goal was when he goes to press, he was beaten far too easily. So he is an issue for Newcastle.
And are they trying to, as you were mentioning, and Eddie Howe talked in the beginning about the fluidity up front and trying some different things, simply because they did spend so much money on that forward line? Yeah,
because, look, it was always going to be a very difficult situation because of the Isak situation, because of what he did and what happened. And it hasn't worked well for anyone. It hasn't worked well for Isak. It certainly hasn't worked well for Liverpool with him. And from my point of view and from Newcastle's point of view, it certainly didn't help them because they were forced into paying, I think, far too too much money for 2 forwards in Voldemar. It was a lot of money for him and a lot of money for Visser, roughly around 125 million on those 2. And they're still working out or figuring out how to get the best from Voldemar, because his game, his stature, his pace of play is not suited to what Newcastle have done in being successful under Eddie Howe with the energy. Because when Newcastle were at their very best, Newcastle were going after teams and pressing and not giving them any energy, not any time to play whatsoever. Yet he can't do that. And that tells you that he's playing a winger in the centre-forward position, that he has an issue in there.
He's playing he played as a... Today, because the way Manchester City play and dominate at times, he played as Tonali's partner. Well, that's not his role. That's not a 10. That's an 8 or a 6 in number terms nowadays. That's a centre midfielder. He's not mobile enough. Shake of the shoulders, and he can't keep up with the players like Semenya shows for the second goal. So if Bruno does come back, where are you going to put him? That's why Al said it's a problem. Because you put him as a 9 and then drop Gordon, or put him wide, and then you've got a problem with Harvey Barnes or Elanga. So it's an issue at the moment that is fine because there's a few injuries. But once everybody comes back, try and nail down that number 9 position, which is an issue. And it's, Newcastle always have good number 9s. I'm not just talking about this great centre forward next to me. In the past and in the future, they need a number 9. They need a focal point, and it's something that needs sorting out.
Could have made the difference tonight. Eddie Howe saying they went toe-to-toe with Manchester City, and yet City held on for the 3 points. They saw the game out. That's game management. That's the difference, isn't it? They know how to do that.
Yeah, and City went to their bench and put on Foden and Cherky and Kusanov when they wanted pace. Their bench was really good, experienced, full of internationals, no problem City. When Newcastle went to the bench, it was a little tiny bit weaker, so you could see them seeing them out and just almost trying to hit Newcastle on the counter-attack themselves. Saying that, I thought Newcastle held out really well. I thought Dan Burn and Malik Chow were brilliant, I really do. But they've just, they're just going back up north, losing yet again. But they did all they can, but like they are in this game, City have got a bigger squad. The circumstances of midweek, they equipped themselves really, really well, Newcastle, but just fell short. It was fine. They didn't get a beating today. They didn't get hammered. They acquitted themselves really, really well, but it was just one of those things, really, at the end of the game.
Yeah, and their goal at the Etihad was the first they'd scored there in 7. Newcastle and City are going to be sick of the sight of each other by the end of the season. Plenty more games to come.
Yeah, they've got the FA Cup as well, and both teams will be hoping that they might have a chance of playing each other in the quarterfinals of the Champions League as well, if they manage to get through. But I think Newcastle have been really competitive against Manchester City tonight. They made it really difficult for them, albeit it was a really good night in the end for Manchester City, and that's all that mattered for them.
Yeah, well, we can hear now from Manchester City, their point of view, because we're going to go back to the Etihad, and standing by to speak to us is Mark Gahey. Mark, great to be chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time. A huge opportunity tonight, a huge result for City. Just give us your take on it and your thoughts on the performance.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah, it was a tough game. We know how difficult it is to play against Newcastle and their qualities, their endeavour, their work rate, and also their quality on the ball. So, I think everyone's glad that we got these 3 points, and, we can move on to the next game.
How tense was it in the second half? Because we talked about your game management and seeing this result out.
Yeah, we knew second half was always going to be a bit of a sticky one. Second half's always difficult, I think, when their tails are up and they're pushing for another goal. So I think, credit to everyone for keeping their heads and managing the game in different moments.
Mark, hi, it's Alan Shearer. Well done tonight on your performance. Tell us the truth. Are you, as players, in terms of the title race, are you watching Arsenal in midweek and them dropping points and then thinking it's your chance tonight to put pressure on them before they play tomorrow?
Hi, Alan. To be honest, I think everyone's got their own way of, either switching off or watching the game. I personally haven't watched any of their games, to be honest. We're definitely aware of scores as a team going into games. But yeah, I think the most important for us is to focus on ourselves, because we can only control what we can.
Mark, it's Steve McManaman. Congratulations, mate, tonight. Why didn't you join Liverpool? No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. How's your adaptation being into the team? How are you finding all your teammates and playing with your new club?
Hi, Steve. Honestly, I was dreading that question, to be honest.
Don't worry. I'm only messing.
But yeah, it's been a great experience so far. Everyone's been super welcoming. I've said in the previous interview that I've had to adapt a lot to the way the manager wants to play and almost change my game completely. His ideas are fantastic, and the thought process behind why he wants to do certain things are really helping me develop as a player. And I just want to learn and be obsessed as much as possible and try and get better. And I couldn't be at a much better place to do this than Manchester City with all these fantastic players. So yeah, very grateful.
Yeah, some of them have been, Mark, in this situation before. It's the first time for you, though. What's it like being involved in this title race? Give us the scoop. What's it like behind the scenes? What's Pep been like? What has he been saying to all of you?
I'll be honest, it's very relaxed from day to day. Obviously, when it's time to train, we train full. We train with the mindset of trying to win every single game and just being focused on our own performances and how we can get better, especially coming towards the end of the season, how we can be fresher, how we can get better and improve our performances, because like you've seen today, every minor detail is so important. But yeah, it's been very relaxed from day to day, but when it's go time, it's go time.
A brace for Nico O'Reilly tonight, the first in the Premier League for him. How pleased are you?
Oh, he's been fantastic. I'm so glad he's doing so well. He's a big player for us, so important for us both on and off the ball. I think you guys are seeing his qualities, his goal scoring ability as well that he has, and I'm sure he's going to add a lot more now. So yeah, hopefully he can carry that on, and hopefully the team can as well.
Thanks so much for your time, Mark. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, best of luck, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Julia.
Looking forward to what's to come, and their next challenge is Leeds. They can rest a few days. Arsenal still have to face Tottenham. That comes tomorrow. It's a huge one for them. Macca, then Chelsea to come as well. Just looking at those fixtures to come in the title race, who has it tougher? Are they all tough?
Well, if you look at those particular games that we can see, when you look at Manchester City, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, the FA Cup, West Ham and then Arsenal, you'd certainly, and you've got, of course, you'd certainly think it was Manchester. I mean, there's a couple of FA Cup and League games in there, as EFL Cup game as well. You'd certainly think when you look at those games, Tottenham and Chelsea for Arsenal are more difficult than the fourth that Manchester City would have. But of course, there's 11 games left, and as Al said, they're going to drop points. Both of them will drop points because they're not as dominating as they once were in the past, Manchester City. And either at Arsenal, the competition's closer, so it won't just be when they meet at the Etihad in April. They'll drop more points than that, the pair of them.
Well, there is big pressure certainly on Arsenal tomorrow because City have done the job. They play their bitter rivals, and it could still be 2 points come the end of tomorrow. Yeah,
it's we're going to be seeing this so much in between now and the end of the season. Well, City have done their job, or Arsenal have done their job. It's now over to Manchester City. I've been in this position myself. I know it's more difficult for Arsenal because they have to win it, and because of they were there. So yeah, pressure on them tomorrow.
Certainly is. We will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Pep Guardiola, very complimentary about Newcastle this evening as well. The interviews keep coming here as well because we can now get the post-match thoughts from the Newcastle boss. Eddie Howe is with Liam.
Eddie, how do you reflect on that game? It was intense. It was a hard battle, and your team worked so hard and created a lot of chances for you today.
Yeah, I thought we were right in the game. I thought we gave everything that we had to give to the match. I think we needed to. Disappointing with the 2 goals really that we conceded because they're out of context really with the general performance, which was really strong defensively. But we switched us a couple of times and they punish you when you do that. I thought we chased the game well second half. We were always in it right to the very end, with Harvey's chance going agonisingly close for us.
Are you able to take positives from the way you did play and the intensity, given you said it wasn't going to be an excuse, but given the week you've had, the travel you've had, and you've matched a team there?
Yeah, credit to the players for delivering that. I think it was incredibly difficult to do with the travel, as you say, the games that we've had, and a relatively small squad to pick from. We've chosen the players that we felt were able to execute what we wanted them to do, and credit to the group. I thought they did. We went deep and hard. We're chasing the game against a very, very good team, and any mistake we have a transition, we've got to recover and sprint back in. And I thought we did that to a man excellently all through the game.
You said you wanted your team to be fluid, to find solutions to Manchester City, especially in wide areas. You got into some great positions. Was that something that you really wanted to utilise today?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we were looking at today in possession, and I thought they came out. I think just the end product, the last cross, the last finish, wasn't quite to the level with the territory that we had. I think we should have been delivering more. But again, I think you've got to credit the opposition as well to a degree for that. But there's several occasions where I thought we could have done better. But we kept going and we kept believing, and I think that's a massive thing here. We haven't always been in the game in late stages when visiting this stadium, but today I thought we were more than deserving of that opportunity to equalise.
Yes, still lots of positives for Newcastle to take from the performance tonight, but for Manchester City it's all about that 2-point gap now between them and the Gunners, and Pep Guardiola talking about the experience in his side, but Jolien saying that 70% of the players don't know what it's like to get over the line, but still more than Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't know if he meant it to be an indirect message towards Arsenal. The fact that he referenced 70% don't know, but there's a very high percentage at Arsenal that don't know, so if he sees that as relevance, then that's one plus for the group here. They have more experience of being in this scenario and seeing games out and seeing seasons out. So hopefully they can build on tonight, because it wasn't just as a glamorous performance. It was an important performance.
And we keep hearing this season that Arsenal have got the best squad in the league, Joe. But if you looked at the City starting 11 tonight, but also the bench this evening, they're not that bad themselves, are they?
Yeah, the bench was frightening. It really was. There's so much quality. Arsenal, listen, Mikel Arteta needs to be lauded for what he's put together at Arsenal, but ultimately a club like Arsenal will be judged on trophies and silverware. The players know that, the fans know that, Mikel Arteta knows that, you know, and it's going to be a brilliant run-in, and something I'm really excited about, because we didn't have one last year, you know, but this year it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, all eyes on North London tomorrow, guys. We're going to get you out the rain. Thank you very much for your company tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Manchester City fans will.
Incredible team. Newcastle is an incredible but awesome team. Physicality and the speed that they have in front with Gordon Elanga and after Barnes and all of them. So physicality in the middle. So yeah, really tough, but the team was unbelievable.
You're now 8 unbeaten. You seem to have an ability to get your team winning when it matters most. What's that down to?
No, it's not true. We won today. We draw against the Spurs not far away, so step at a time.
Yeah, considering everything that we've put into the last few weeks, that was a big effort, physically, mentally. That was a good performance. Wasn't good enough, and yeah, Manchester City make it very difficult for you, but I thought we went toe-to-toe with them. I thought we were going strong at the end, and can't fault the players.
Nico, I think the celebrations told a story. That feels like a really big win.
Yeah, very big win. We needed the win. Yeah, that's our aim every game now. Just 3 points, and so yeah, buzzing with today.
3 points, very nearly 3 goals for yourself. Tell us about both of them that you scored today.
Yeah, the first one was a bit of a counter-attack. I seen Omar running with the ball, and yeah, I ran the other way and he slid me in, and then I put my foot through it. The second one, yeah, Erling put a great cross in off his right, and yeah, I just did the rest.
This was a huge moment for Manchester City, and one that they took with both hands.
Yeah, it felt more than 3 points, didn't it? The way they celebrated, you knew how important it was for them. There's still 11 games left in the Premier League, but this felt like a massive moment for them. Watching Arsenal drop points to Wolves midweek and the way they dropped it, it was vitally important that they got 3 points today. Didn't matter about playing great, winning by lots more goals than they did. It was just about 3 points, shifting all the pressure onto the North London derby tomorrow and seeing how Arsenal respond. Of course, Tottenham have got a new manager, see how they play in the first game under his tutelage. But big, it felt like a big moment this afternoon.
Yeah, big chance for City, and they were relentless kind of in the opening stages and got the opening goal. Big day for Nico O'Reilly as well.
Yeah, it was a big day for him. Two really good goals, and he was the difference for Manchester City. But they win the ball there, the first one, they win the second one there, and then they come together in the knockdown. And then it's a really clever run from O'Reilly, but it's an even better finish. He'll be delighted with that. But Newcastle won't be with the defending, as we heard from Eddie Howe in those little moments. But the way he gets himself into the position and the way he finishes it off, He was the difference for Manchester City tonight. There's no doubt about it. It's a great strike. I think Pope could and should do better, but he did his job and getting the 3 points.
That's all you can do as Nico Riley did. He made a good run, and the only thing that you could be super critical about is Malik Thiaw didn't follow him quick enough, didn't get close when he wanted to take the shot on, and then I think because of Malik Thiaw's body position, Nick Pope followed his position off the defender, and he looked a little tiny bit flat-footed to get across. So fine margins have decided this game today, and they decided it in the way of Manchester City.
Yeah, especially in that first half. Yeah. And, it was pretty breathtaking. I mean, when you consider how close the goals came, it was end-to-end action. Look at the goal that made it 1-1.
Yeah, it was a brilliant first half. It was really, really open, more open perhaps than I thought it was going to be. But Lewis Hall finds himself in that position. That's what he's there for, in case the ball just happens to fall to him there, and it did, and he gets his strike away. But a little bit of luck with a deflection off Aït-Nouri, and Donnarumma's got absolutely no chance. And they get themselves back into the game to Newcastle, and that would be the disappointing thing, is that they concede a silly goal so soon after that, which they go in at half-time 2-1 down.
Yeah, lots of bodies in the box, and then the deflection as well. Let's look at the goal that does make it 2-1, and that ultimately gives Manchester City all 3 points. Erling Haaland turning provider.
Yeah, I look at Newcastle, they're in a great position, everybody behind the ball, but Semenyo goes past Voltemada too easy. And the gap between, we've said it early on, the gap between Kieran Trippier and Malik Thiaw is too big. The danger is Nico Riley. Kieran Trippier is just flat-footed. You see, he takes little steps to try and close him down. And Nico Riley has just got his eye on the ball, and he is attacking it. And it was a lovely goal. But again, if you're Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, you know where the failings were. That it's easy to analyse that goal. He should have pushed in a yard, and that would have been it. He would have blocked it. He would have stopped the run. And those little moments, you just wonder whether their travel arrangements midweek, the fact that they've had to travel back, it's just a question of slipping off, shutting down for 1 second. And I think that's what's cost them today. But I thought Newcastle were excellent. They deserve a huge amount of credit the way they performed today. They just couldn't or didn't do enough.
Yeah, and as Eddie Howe said, lacked that little bit of cutting edge. Manchester City managing the game, seeing it out, earning all 3 points. That puts the gap at the top to just 2 points on Arsenal. And look at the scenes at the end. Have you seen this from Pep? I think maybe at Anfield, when they scored those goals late on. But this was Pep really enjoying the moment. Yeah,
you don't often see that, particularly at home. I mean, more often than not, they've beaten Newcastle at home, 17 on the spin at the Etihad. But I think such was the size of the game, such was what happened in midweek to Arsenal, and then what may happen tomorrow with Arsenal. That was a huge statement from Manchester City. Now, you could tell the relief from everyone inside the stadium, both players, management and the fans. It was a huge relief because they were under a lot of pressure from Newcastle, but they just had to get those 3 points, and they have. And
now we have a 2-point gap at the top, the smallest it's been since the 29th of December. It's game on.
It is, and it's going to be for the neutral. It's brilliant, isn't it? Not one team is 9 points clear like Arsenal, where it's now they've dragged each other back. They have to play each other at the Etihad in April, but before then, it'll toss and turn. Look at the goal differences, nigh on the same. So actually, it's just the sake of you have to go out, you have to do your job, and the pressure should flip-flop now between each team. Who can handle it? Who's got the biggest squads? Because Manchester City, a lot of their players have been there and done it virtually every single year for the last 5 or 6 years. So they can handle the pressure. Can Arsenal? That's the only question everybody around the country is saying, isn't it? Arsenal couldn't handle it last year, the year before. Can they handle it this year? And we'll find out very soon.
Well, that's going to be the big difference between the two, isn't it? Because, they've got 11 games left to play, 12 for Arsenal with the North London derby, and then they play each other. Many people saying Arsenal, it's theirs to lose because they did have that gap. Is that still the case, or do you fancy City more now?
I would still probably just say Arsenal, but there's not going to be a lot between them. I think what we can guarantee is that each and every Saturday we say, right, we've done our job the game before, now it's over to you. And I also say that not every team, or not both teams, are going to win all of their games. So that it is going to be backwards and forwards, right? The pressure's on you, and it will flip flop. I've been in that position myself, and I know the pressure that Arsenal are under because of the circumstances and how they finished second on too many occasions for their liking. Man City have been there, they know what it's about, they've got so many players and the management have been there and they understand what it takes to get over the line. But I still feel Arsenal might just have a slight advantage, just.
Yeah, that last fixture on the graphic we just showed is the League Cup final between the two. For many people, on the 22nd of March, that's the kicker. That could help decide, even though it's not a league game, it could help decide the league. Is that your feeling?
No, I think the next 3 games are the ones, because if you look at paper, of course, Tottenham, Chelsea, I think Arsenal have Brighton. On paper, Manchester City's games are a lot easier, and Manchester City's games come before Arsenal. So if Arsenal slip up once, then City could go top of the league. And I think that's when it'll start to get interesting. As soon as City go first and Arsenal start playing catch-up with the game at the Etihad to come in April, that's when people will start thinking about whether it goes back and forth. I think the League Cup final is a bonus, really. Whoever wins that, fine. I don't think it'll have any bearing on the league, on somebody winning the league.
Al, you mentioned that you've been in the situation before, the one that the Arsenal players find themselves in. Just how tough is it to be in that dressing room? How tough is it to be in the dressing room where you are leading? Which one would you rather be in?
I would much prefer to be leading, yeah, but having said that, when you are leading and you drop points, the whole of the country's then saying, well, are they going to bottle it? Is the pressure being too much for them? Yeah, it's probably easier chasing than it is being chased, and that's what Arsenal have to deal with. They somehow... And even Man City, you look at the relief tonight, look at how they all reacted at the end of the game. Even Man City realised the enormity of that result this evening against Newcastle. But that's what it's going to boil down to, the mentality of both teams. What Man City will feel is a lot of their players, and particularly the staff, have been there before, they've done it and know what to expect. Whereas Arsenal are under more pressure than anyone has ever been because of the situation that they were. There were so many points clear. They've become second in so many occasions. They've spent an absolute fortune. He's now got the squad that he wants. He brought the players in that he wanted, Mikel Arteta. So, and with what they had 3 weeks ago, it could have been 9. It's now back down to 2. And then that tells you that the pressure is right on them tomorrow.
Which dressing room are you going to, leaders or chasers?
At this moment, I'd be in the chasers, because you've got them at home. You know what you have to do at your own grounds, and that atmosphere will be rocking. You know what you have to do. And as Al rightly says, you've got players who haven't won anything, like Mark Gay, when he spoke eloquently after the game. But you've also got 8 and 9 players who have won it 4 or 5 times, and you've got Pep, who's won it as many times as possible. So I'd rather be the chasers at the moment.
You mentioned Mark Gahey. We obviously caught up with him after the game on Premier League Live, and he said something that stands out to me and that I actually find hard to believe. He's not watching the Arsenal games. How difficult is that actually to do in this day and age, and to stay away from social media?
There's too much football on. You can't watch every game.
He might not be watching, but he won't be able to get away from it, particularly with social media, the way that is nowadays. But I watched every single game. I watched the opponents, and I was praying for them to drop points. And then it's over to yourself to try and get the points. But what you can't take away is the pressure, and there's lots of it there.
I think Mark Gahey was watching Newcastle against Karabakh, because it was on at the same time. He's studying his next opponent. That's how professional Mark Gahey is.
Mark Gahey, whether he is watching or not, we will never know.
He was watching Newcastle Karabakh.
We will never know. Well.